we are here to discuss the entrepreneurial spark today. It's a very vast topic, and for people who have an entrepreneurial spark, so I'll tell you, as entrepreneurs, we get a lot of ideas. You know, we all have an entrepreneur within us, and every time we get a new business idea, it's like having a new crush when you're a teenager. You know, you sit alone, you think of what all you can do, you think of situations that might never happen, and at the same time, you're so excited that you want to build something with this new idea. But at the same time, both of you have taken more than a decade to build what you have today. And most of the businesses, if we look back in history, it takes time to build something. So focus is something which is very, very important for an entrepreneur. But at the same time, we keep getting new ideas. So how do you solve this paradox as an entrepreneur? How do you prioritize what you need to work upon, and what kind of challenges you want to take up and what you want to keep on the side at the moment? So any one of you can start with this first question, please.
So, ideas keep you awake at night. I mean, as an entrepreneur, I guess we keep thinking even while we are sleeping, and ideas come to us at odd times. However, we need to have some focus because ideas are a dime a dozen, especially in the AI age. If I need to execute something well, that is what matters. And execution requires focus. So if I'm thinking about a dozen things, I don't think I would be able to execute any one thing properly. So it is in my interest to focus and then build. So it has to happen that way.
What would you say?
So I would say, first of all, we need to understand what is entrepreneurship. I think before we kind of even pick up what to work on, because entrepreneurship is more than I think what we usually relate to. It's more of a mindset actually, right? So I will like to quote a one situation over here. I was very privileged to be invited by a premium institute in this region to inaugurate their entrepreneurial cell, and they were asking me to, give a talk on something which can inspire students. I will come back to your question, but I feel like this is very important to quote.
Right.
Like, so I believe like entrepreneurship is more of a mindset actually, and before you even get into the entrepreneurship, you have to have some few qualities which are non-negotiable. Number one, you need to have the curiosity, right? A kind of like lifelong learner, because you should be like having a deep knowledge in one domain, but also have the curiosity to learn the other things as well. Like you say, like knowledge, like in the multiple threads. Like for example, if you have deep knowledge in marketing and also data science, then you can translate that the communication between the two departments very well and understand and be more effective as well. So the curiosity is very important. Number one. Then the second is the initiatives. You should be able to take your own initiatives as well. So entrepreneurs are the people like who doesn't need others to tell what to do. They should be able to lay down their own tracks to run on. And third is like the vision. So they should be able to see what the others cannot see, but at the same time should have the conviction to achieve that as well. Another thing which is collaboration. It is it's a myth that the entrepreneurs are like a lone wolf. No, they are not lone wolf. So they are able to take the other people along with them so that they can generate a productive output. And the last but not least, the resilience part, right? You should not be having only the heart for entrepreneurship. You should also have the stomach of entrepreneurship as well. You can sleep hungry, right? So go hungry. So this is the title of the book as well. So that these are the qualities which are required, right? And then you need to shortlist, like you will be kind of intimidated or maybe influenced by multiple things, which comes to you, because as an entrepreneur you will be able to like see opportunity in everything, right? Making everything work as well. But the question which needs to be asked is like, do you have the bandwidth? Can you do the justice like of deploying the required talent, the required capital, even the leadership focus as well? can you deploy that? Only then you have to pick it up, because at the end of the day, all the resources are very limited. Like your time is limited, your budget is limited, and you need to take into consideration, like, you know, how soon you will be. Because at the end of the day, if you are so there are two things. There can be two things. Whether you can be in a service business, either you can be a product business. And if you are a product business, there is only three things. One is the product market fit. If you are able to do that, that is the first step, right? Which means that you have paying customer as well, like who are ready to pay. Second is the dissemination part. Then you need to acquire more customer, right? Where you get the capital, and you can get the capital, I would say. And third is the constant R&D, for example, so that you can stay in the business forever, right? So that you can, you know, compete with the competition as well, in the market as well. So that is important, right? And if you are in service business, because at the end of the day, business is all about three things, like value creation, value delivery, and value capture. Value creation is what you want to create, or what you are going to create, what you are going to deliver. Value delivery is like what kind of experience you are going to give to your customer. And value capture is how you know translate those, you know, what you have created into revenue. Because that's at the end of that, that's what make the things work. So it's more of a, like, kind of I would say the bridge between, the focus has to be there definitely, and that is the bridge between the execution and the vision.
Understood.
Right. So that's my views on this.
Makes a lot of sense, sir. And Sunil sir, I want to ask the same question from you also, that what are the top three qualities that you have seen in common across all the successful entrepreneurs, and of course yourself? That what are the top three qualities you would see commonly in all successful entrepreneurs?
So one, I would say, and this is something which is not commonly talked about, the ability to look into the future.
Right.
So you won't have a crystal ball, so to say, but if you can figure out what's going to happen in the next few years down the line, in whatever profession you are, I think that gives you an unfair advantage. And unfair advantage is something that really gets you where you want. So that is one thing, and we all know resilience is another. I mean, you are going to have failures in life. There will be places where you are successful, and in many cases you will not be successful. You have to continue. You have to continue showing up. You have to continue doing what you are doing and improvise. So resilience is another. Third, I would say, you have to embrace uncertainty. What that means is that once you know everything for sure, that this is where I'm heading, this is what the market wants, by then it is too late. Everybody is doing that. So, for example, in today's time, if you ask people how to make money, they'll say maybe invest in property. But I think when everybody is investing in property, then it has potential to go down. So while everybody was investing in stocks, they went down. You have to embrace uncertainty. Whenever things are not clear, that is the time to make money.
That's great insight, and I think we've got some common qualities as answers from both of you. One being that if you have the ability to foresee how the market will perform in the future, then you can become a good entrepreneur. And the second was resilience. These are two common things that you mentioned. But what I would like to know from you is that, are these top 2 or 3 qualities something which is innate in a person, or can these skills or qualities be acquired with time? And in your journey of building your business, how did you manage to acquire these qualities, or did you have these qualities from day one? Maybe you can share an anecdote on, how your resilience was tested, or something similar to that.
So just adding on to what was the earlier question, because we already covered the 4 or 5 qualities which are required. But in our case, if I look back at my own journey, because I think the first 2 years were quite lean. Actually, I was just kind of because it was a accidental startup. I had spondylitis, could not work anywhere, so that's how I had to start. So the first 4 5 years quite lean. 2009 was the year when again started with the 5 people team, 1 month backup, and kind of by the grace of God we you kept growing. But I would admit honestly, by 2013 I think I did not have heard the word entrepreneurship. Right, it was only after I joined TIE and Sumitji is there, like he was the one who brought me there, and then I was assigned a mentor, and he told me, something about like, okay, you can, there are way of, learning, and that was the day when I started reading, and on the past 20, 13 odd years, I've been like learning everything from the books only. The challenges, all those challenges being addressed by the learning itself only, because like I also share it with my team as well, because we usually say that you are the average of those 5 people you spend most time with.
Yeah.
But is it going to be a lifestyle answer if I don't have the luxury of the kind of people I want to become? I don't have the luxury of being into those kind of people. But the answer is no. You can be the kind of person in next 5 years, the kind of books you read. So coming back to the challenges, so I would say like my journey actually started 13 or 14 odd years back when I actually understood what is entrepreneurship is all about, creating value and which is sustainable as well, right? So, but I feel like in this region we are more, we are kind of groomed in a way like where we mostly stop when we create our own, success, our own home, our own car, or maybe office as well. But very few people go and create success for others as well, for their extended team as well. And I think that's what the entrepreneurship should mean actually, when you create success for others as well, through value creation which is sustainable as well.
How about you, sir?
So, Vikram says he is an accidental entrepreneur, just like we had an accidental Prime Minister as well. In my case, it was entirely different. So I'm a third generation entrepreneur. When I graduated from NIT Kurukshetra, earlier known as REC Kurukshetra, I was clear that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. In fact, I took up mechanical engineering because I wanted to set up a factory.
Okay.
So when I graduated, with the intention of setting up a factory, I worked with my uncle for a couple of years, and then I set up my own factory. It was an automotive components factory. I started manufacturing for HMT tractors. That lasted for about 3 decades. I ran my factory for about 3 decades. At the same time, I pivoted in 2001 and set up my digital agency.
Okay.
So there was a period when both things were running simultaneously. Factory gave me the resilience. So one day there was a strike, even though I wasn't very big. I faced a strike in my factory. I came out of it. Sometimes there were orders that we could not meet. At other times there was a shortage of orders. The schedules were not so good. That was all a part and parcel. When there was a good order, maybe your machine breaks down. That is what taught me everything.
Okay.
It's an MBA that I did in my factory.
Okay. So your first business was the MBA that you actually did, and that helped you acquire skills.
That is right.
Okay.
So compared to running a factory, this is a piece of cake, I would say.
And Vikram sir, is this your first venture, or did you well into another entrepreneurial venture before this?
No, so this is my first venture and first generation entrepreneur as well.
Okay, understood. So now another question that I have in mind is that what is the true litmus test for an entrepreneur? Is it scale? Is it profitability? Is it the number of lives that you impact? Or what is it exactly? Like, how do you judge if an entrepreneur is successful or not?
So, in my personal opinion, all these things are very important, because if you don't have the scale, it doesn't mean like kind of like business is proven, right? If you don't have the impact, that's also very important. But again, as we just added in the last answer, for me the most important part is like sustainable value creation is the most important part in a business. Whether business can function without you as well, that is where you create a business. If your business cannot, sustain or maybe function or execute with when you are not there, then you haven't created a business out, I would say. So that is very important, and that can only happen when your kind of a mission is larger than your yourself as well. So when you can see your success in the success of others, that is where the validation happens. So that's my personal.
Okay. How would you say?
So, in my opinion, what difference have you been able to make in the society, and how many people have you been able to carry forward along with you in your journey? These are the two things that I would say measure your success.
Is this irrespective of the profitability? Because
That has to happen, otherwise you would not be in business for long.
yeah,
If you are not profitable, you would not be able to help anybody.
right.
So that is a given factor. I mean, you have to be profitable, and there has to be a minimum scale to be profitable.
Right.
So these two things are a given, but they cannot be the motive for whatever you're doing. There has to be a greater motive. If that is there, I mean, then there's a lot that you can achieve.
Makes sense. Okay. So now, because we're talking about entrepreneurial spark, and entrepreneurial spark is not just with entrepreneurs doing their own business, but it could be within organizations, right? Both of your organizations employ a decent number of people, and basically what I want to ask you is that if a person is in a job and they have an entrepreneurial spark, is it possible to foster entrepreneurship within an organization, or is it a myth? Is it just something that the person will have to resign from their job, start their own venture, and only then they will be able to explore their entrepreneurial spark? What do you think? Have you had any kind of initiatives in your own organization where you have actually been able to foster entrepreneurship while they are working in the organization?
So I believe organizations are a very good breeding grounds, for to develop entrepreneurial spark. Because at the end of the day, again, entrepreneurship is a mindset only, right? When you can take ownership of the outcome of what you have been hired for, then I would say 50% you are already there, right? Then rest of the qualities falls in line what I shared earlier. Within our organization, we do have NEEV labs as a kind of structure, wherein we give fair chance to each and every one. So we got a consensus council set up in house, which scrutinize every idea which comes from the team members, and can that be commercialized, whether as a product or as a service. So that is the responsibility of that committee. Once that is through, when it is through, then our minimum goal is can you commercialize it to up to a level where it goes to $1 million of ARR. If you are able to do that, then we give the people the flexibility to create a different separate company out of it, which is and where they will have their own management and own leadership and can drive it further. So that's how we kind of encourage that. At the same time, I would say even if within the organization, your organization cannot scale unless your people don't scale at the leadership level, right? So there was always 4 levels through which a person can elevate or maybe grow within an organization. First level is when you start taking your own ownership. That is the IC role. The second level is when you start taking the others' responsibility. You will become a team lead and you start getting them productive as well, getting the product out of them as well. Third level is when you start taking the responsibility of the profitability of that department as well. So that's called P&L as well. And the fourth level is the leadership level, when you start inspiring others people as well. So that these are the 4 levels, and I believe becoming an entrepreneur does not mean just owning a piece of equity or maybe having a private limited company under your name. It doesn't mean that only. If Google, Gmail was created within Google, right? So there's the kind of the output you can always achieve from the people who are hungry for success, and there is a difference between hungry and greedy. You should be hungry, not greedy for success. So that also has to be taken into account. So that to me, like, it's a very good breeding ground, and I always try to spend, or maybe share my learnings, because if I have gone through that grinding wheel, my aim is like, if I can cut down the my team's kind of challenges by sharing the knowledge which I have acquired over like 10, 15 odd years, and they can go there, and run much faster on their tracks.
I think it's a great takeaway to be hungry for success and not greedy for it. That's a nice one, sir. What's your opinion on this, sir?
Well, it's not a myth for sure. So, entrepreneurship is a thing.
Right.
So, which means developing entrepreneurs within an organization. That's entrepreneurship. In our case, it has worked both in the manufacturing business as well as in the IT business.
Okay.
For example, we've had people who were working for us in the factory. Later on, they went on to become contractors, and then they became independent vendors to us. So they learned in our factory, they knew what we were producing, they knew how they could do better outside. So first they honed their skills within the factory, and then they went on to set up their own businesses, helping us as well as other people.
Okay.
In case of IT, again, similarly, so first they come over as employees, so 9-to-5 job. Then they become team leads and managers. And after that, we also give them, give them help so that they can become vendors to us.
Okay.
So it's a win-win situation actually.
Understood. So
For
they're
example-
not only becoming your competitors, they are helping you.
Yes, they also work for the competitors, sure.
Right.
But first they help us, then they go to the competitors, and then they also work with them. It doesn't bother us.
Okay.
For example, there was a girl who worked with me in the IT business for 15 years. She came up to me one day and she said, "Sir," she said hesitantly, "Sir, I've always dreamt of running my own agency. I know I've been here forever. Not sure how things will take shape after I leave. But if I don't do it now, then I will not be able to do it ever." I said, "Anu, you don't feel bad about it. It's something good. I encourage it. And you just give me 2 months notice as is required.
Yeah.
And then we'll handle it from there. You just train somebody and
Right.
we'll take it up from there." I'm happy to say that she's now running a good firm in Bangalore and helping several people like us.
Wow. That's really nice. So now I just have one last question for the both of you, just specific to your own organizations. For you, sir, the last panel discussion that we had was AI. And basically a lot of small agencies, local agencies here in India, North India, they are facing issues with AI where a lot of work that they used to do as website developers or as designers is now being done by AI, because phase 1 of AI was where you could go to ChatGPT, ask for anything and you would get it on a platter. But now AI has also started doing things. You can get things designed, you can get a website made, you can now execute stuff using AI. So how does that impact the business of online marketing internationally?
Well, we do all these things in-house, so AI helps us do those things more efficiently.
Right.
And when somebody is searching for something online, then if you are investing in AI SEO, for example, if you are investing in AI SEO, then you will start getting cited in those AI results.
Okay.
Otherwise, your competitors will get cited in those results.
Right.
So you have to invest in AI SEO now.
Okay.
Previously, people were investing in traditional SEO,
Google is.
primarily Google, yes. So although when I started, it was Yahoo was more powerful than Google.
Yes.
I mean, Google had just started off.
Yeah.
So I'm almost as old as Google. I like to tell myself that I'm almost as old as Google.
Okay.
So in fact, in the early days, when somebody used to ask me, "What do you do?" I said, "Yeah, computer ka kaam karte hain." Nobody knew what SEO was,
Yeah.
not in India at least. People didn't have websites.
Right.
What to talk about SEO? Similarly, this is again a repeat of that. People do not know much about AI SEO. You need AI SEO to get cited in AI results. And if you do that well, then you get recommended by AI.
Yes.
That is what will drive businesses in future.
Okay, makes sense. And Vikram sir, about you, I wanted to ask you that for about 17 odd years of you starting the business, you were a bootstrapped company, you did not go out, pitch to investors, you did not accept any funding opportunities. But now recently, congratulations, you've closed your first round of funding. So I just want to understand your mindset of why you did not take external funding for the first 17 years and what changed your decision lately.
Thank you, first of all. So we had few objectives in our mind. Though we had like bootstrap, created our own assets as well. Touched a landmark, top line which anybody would kind of have a dream of it. So first of all, because as our purpose is to our aim, our vision is to create a successful out of the stage of life, to list our donation down the line onto the BSC, because very few companies, how many companies come to your mind when you think of a successful IT company listed in BSC out of this region? Maybe you can ask yourself. So that's the why we want to fill, because in my opinion, I want to create that story so that others like who are more talented, more kind of like qualified than me, because I never went to a college, then if I can do it, they can also do it. So that's the one thing which I want to create an impact out of this region, number one. Number two, we want to also create a kind of a number to the organization, like add to a number, like what value this organization is having, because otherwise it is just a kind of a property business. My home is at this value, and the buyer will say no, this is should be this value. So if we are promising ESOPs to my team, where is the exit? Because at the end of the day, ESOPs are not just a certificate on the wall, until unless we don't give them the exit mechanism, right? Because everyone have a family, everyone has a need of maybe raising kids or maybe getting married or buying a house or buying a car. So if you don't give them the exit mechanism, how you going to create that belief or maybe the trust within the system? So that was the one, and so that we can also make other people as part of the success story. And now because we have the funds, we wanted to also make sure that, like how we can kind of increase our presence in the regions which are more costly. For example, setting an office in US or maybe South Korea and Japan, and also going the route of M&A with smaller acquisition as well. And more importantly, there is one more reason, like what this funding does to you. It brings governance. It brings responsibility, because at the end of the day, if you don't have governance within your system, then how would people will trust you? And it also gives a give you a structure as a for the CEO as well. Like they are somebody who you are reporting to. You are responsible for the decisions, because they have invested on you to grow their money. Right now, it is not like, okay, if I don't make money this month, it doesn't matter. No, that behavior will not survive anymore. So, governance, trust within the system, and also our larger vision of, like taking the organization towards into the the stock market, so that we can create a larger success for the extended team member and the stakeholders as well.
That's a great answer, sir. And with this, I would like to conclude the discussion, and I would like to thank both of the gentlemen here for taking out the time and joining us for HOBNOB. It was a really insightful discussion, and thank you. Thanks a lot.